Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be unboxing this Dell G16 7630. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same laptop, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links, but let's get this laptop open. A pretty beat up box, but Dell typically does a phenomenal job with their packaging. Let's hope that's the same case here. All right, looks like the laptop is right here. I know some unboxers don't get right to it, but I'm going to. I'm surprised it's not wrapped in anything. We do have the white variant. We do have a Dell Alienware rep that does send these units to us. So this looks like it may be a review unit that they've sent to someone else before, like different reviewers. So I'm assuming that's why this wasn't wrapped in something, because I find that pretty insane. I don't know that for certain, but I'm gonna heavily assume that here. We have the manual in here, and then we've got a bunch of power accessories. Here's one side of the power adapter, right there, pretty standard. And then the brick, that is a large brick, holy. I do know that you can get an i9 as well as a 4070, I believe. You can get a 4050, 4060, and 4070, as well as an i7 and an i9. So it does make sense why the power brick is so large. This is a 330 watt power supply. It is fairly heavy. That is a big boy. Let's take this out and plug them in. There we go. Yeah, at least the cable is nice and thick and long. Yeah, good. All right, that is everything in the box. Pretty standard in this like kind of budget space where you're getting not the cheapest, but like $1,000 to like $1,200 seems to be the budget space. The same thing with the Acer V16 that I just reviewed. All right, but now the good part. Let's get to the G16 right away. This is a matte white on top. It is a little dirty. I'm gonna assume this was definitely another reviewer. Whoever reviewed this before me, you're a very dirty person. But I love the way this thing looks. It's a matte finish on top. It's kind of almost soft to the touch. Got the Dell logo there. I think it looks very classy. Then here we've got purple vents right here. Compared to the V16, I am gonna be doing a side-by-side comparison with the Acer V16. That video will be coming out in a little bit, but today we're just looking at the G16. The purple vents, really cool touch. Kind of looks like an Alienware from the back here, especially in white. You have purple vents there. You have the power connection. You have a USB type A HDMI, and a USB type C that's capable of display, which is really good. On the bottom, you can see these are the vents here. We have kind of venting all across here, but mainly right here and here where your CPU and GPU fan are. Rubber here. The bottom is all plastic, but it does feel nice. This feels like a very well-built machine for sure. You also have more vents right here, which could be the speakers, probably not vents. More vents on the side and vents on the other side. On this side, we've got our RJ45 Ethernet. We got a battery indicator and our headphone and mic jack. Then on the other side, got two USB type A's. So you get three USB type A's on this whole thing, and then a USB type C. That's nice. And I actually do like they have the USB type A around the back. I think that's a nice touch. Before we open it, the front of this is just nice. It's got a nice angle there. I think it's very attractive, but let's get this opened up. Can we open it with one hand? Yes, we can. There we go, very attractive, guys. In white, you gotta get it in white. Also, right away, we can see this keyboard is very attractive. That actually has like the backlight of something like a Razer keyboard. It's very, very uniform. It's also quite bright. Looking a little bit closer, it's not quite as perfect as like a Razer keyboard would be in terms of its like linearity, but it's pretty dang close, guys. Like that's a very pretty keyboard. I also like how small the font is. All right, now over here, we can see we've got cooling on the top, and it's got this textured surface here, and then we have more of that textured surface on this black part here, which kind of angles down. Really attractive. Now we do have like a raised edge here. There's like a rubber, maybe it's plastic. It's kind of, there's a lip all the way around, which we expect, but it does have nice thin bezels, especially on these sides here, that makes it look quite nice. Now, the top deck is really comfortable. This has a really nice, like soft touch almost feel to it. It feels very durable, very stiff, and very well put together. The trackpad here, very nice clicks as well. I mean, Dell Alienware, they make the XPS line as well as Alienware keyboards, so they have a lot to pull from. The keyboard looks great. The top of this feels fantastic, feels very expensive, and this trackpad, pretty nice, but the clicks. I mean, just listen to that. I'm gonna get closer so you can hear it with the mic. The perfect weight, the perfect amount of travel. It's a really nice trackpad. The other thing, the hinge, it's pretty nice. So when it's fully closed, you see it kind of like pushes back a little bit there. So if you want to do one hand open, you still can do that. It goes back a decent amount, but the hinge is nice and firm. So it really does stay in place. Seems like it would last quite a bit of time. The screen overall, we're gonna do a little flex test on the screen. It definitely has some flex. Like if this was metal, it wouldn't have basically any, but still very, very good. Good build quality, feels like an expensive machine. All right, to plug it in, obviously it's gonna be around the back here. It is kind of like tilted down, so you do have to kind of look, but that is nice, thick cable. Now she's plugged in. Let's see how this screen is. You guys know I'm a big display guy, so obviously I'm gonna focus pretty heavily on the displays here. Now, firstly, it's obviously a matte finish. We're gonna do a matte finish thickness test by going to a white background. The matte finish here does seem to be pretty thin, which is expected on most laptops. That is typically a lot thinner than on your monitors, but there definitely is still a matte finish. It has a slight dirty screen effect, but overall pretty good. Also, the white balance looks very nice, which I would expect from Dell. They do a good job. They have a lot of experience with monitors as well. Let's go into NVIDIA control panel. The keyboard feels pretty good. It sounds kind of bad, but it feels pretty good. We're gonna do a little typing test. Ooh, that's really satisfying to type on. That's a really good keyboard. It has a higher pitched sound, but it's very tactile. It does allow you to like type a little bit quicker. It has like a heavy bump. It actually feels more like a kind of like a higher end tactile switch for like mechanical keyboards. Definitely has that like rounded, but initially intense bump that's really good for typing. If you're doing like schoolwork on this at the same time, like if you're in college or high school and you're gonna be using this for schoolwork, typing on this is great. Gaming on this might suffer. Again, many people that have laptops maybe won't even care, but again, it's probably fine. It feels really good. What about the spacebar? It has that sound. It's a little higher pitched. It does have spring ping, which is strange. Is this, they're not using that like mechanical keyboard for keyboards that they put on the Alienware a few years back, are they? Maybe they are. Maybe that's why this feels so good. Because you can hear the spring ping. Spring ping is basically just where it has like a faint ping that kind of goes ding, ding, right after you hit that, but you actually have to like listen for it with nothing on. Now, so far the fans have not come on. The fans are not on yet once, which is really good. But let's go in here. So this is the variant with the RTX 4060 and the Intel i7. I believe this is 14th gen. We're gonna go here into display settings and make sure this is outputting its full refresh rate. And you can see here doing 240 hertz, which is the really cool thing. This does 240 hertz. It's basically a 1440p resolution. You can see here it's 2560 by 1600, which is basically just a little bit taller than a typical 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So it's 2560 by 1600, 240 hertz though. I mean, it looks really, really nice. So I just hit this G key right here, which is the like high performance mode. And you can see here, you can hear the fans spooling up. They spool up heavily. Wow. That's quiet too. If that's max fan, that's very quiet. You can really feel the air coming out, pulling in from the back, pushing out to the sides. And you can see high performance mode disabled. Takes a little bit for them to throttle up and down. We also can like quickly toggle the brightness. You have 2 levels, dim and then brighter. That looks really great. That's a really good looking backlight RGB. You also have a Bluetooth button. I'm not sure what that's for. We have A, B, C, and D, so maybe an E. Maybe those are macros, which is very cool that you can pre-configure. This is screen brightness, so that's all the way down. I always like it when the FRO is preset to the laptop settings. I think it makes it much easier and quicker to get around everything. All right, so here in the Alienware Command Center, it's kind of funny that Dell uses Alienware, but it makes sense. You can see here are the modes. So we have like battery mode. We have the battery setting, which I guess maybe it's like a faster charging method or just keeps battery. We have quiet, balanced, performance. That actually looks like it overclocks part of like the CPU, which is pretty cool. Maybe the GPU as well. And then we have custom. When you put in performance, obviously the fans spool up. And then we can see all of our different thermals and everything. That's really cool. You can go in here and actually fully customize everything. There's a lot of settings here. This is really, really cool. We're gonna keep it in balance for right now. We can also customize our keyboard, obviously. So we can make it all blue. We can make it all a different color, pink there, all red, yellow. The color recreation is great here. It does hues really quite well. What about white? Does it do white very well? Yeah, that's pretty decent. It's a little blue, but yeah, that's pretty decent. Very cool. We're gonna keep it in the rainbow wave though. All right, so I set this to the rainbow wave, but it's only going to the left and I can't see a setting to make it go to the right, which is super weird because why would it go to the left? I don't know. That seems weird, right? Oh, now it's going to the right. Yeah, but we have a few different settings. We have like static blue that's preset. I'm not very familiar with this, so I'm sure there's a way to switch it. That would be crazy if there wasn't. There's like a breathing. We're just gonna stick in a rainbow wave for right now though. and save that. All right, but let's check out how good this screen is. All right, guys, now with some video up here, this looks like a very good screen. I mean, it's nice. In the whites up here, we're not seeing really a lot of that dirty screen effect at all. It's very clear, obviously. You have a very high PPI with basically 1440p at this screen size. So really, you're not seeing any pixelation, especially from an average viewing distance. Colors look pretty bang on. The white balance looks really great. The brightness here is also very, very decent. We have nice highlights here. Not crazy bright, like you're not blowing anything away, but you are getting 240 hertz. We're also gonna be doing a gaming test and a ghosting test a little bit later in the video, so skip ahead, use the timestamps if you wanna also see that. Yeah, but so far this looks really good. It looks better than the Acer Nitro V16. I can say that right away just from the screen. I can't say anything about the other performance quite yet, but yeah, it looks like a very good screen. Average brightness, but it's 1440p, 2560 by 1600, and it's 240 hertz. That's really nice. All right, now let's test these speakers out. We're gonna start at 50%. Yeah, so these are the speakers here. I'm gonna get in front of it so that I can just get the full experience. It's actually pretty decent. The upper range is actually pretty dang crisp. It's not super muffled, but it would be better if it was coming from like the top over here. You definitely can hear it bouncing off and then coming up. Yeah, I mean, no bass here. Obviously, that's not what you're gonna get, but they're decent. You can definitely listen to some YouTube videos and stuff like that. So here, testing voices.
Like the bottom, like moving or wobbling around in a strange way, so that is good. It also
with voices, it does sound kind of a bit muffled. It does have nice like clarity for laptop speakers, but you can definitely hear that it's coming from down here. But it's exactly what we expect. Absolutely zero bass. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, now what I'm gonna do is update the drivers to the most recent ones, download some games, and then we're gonna test those out, and we're gonna do a ghosting test, and also maybe test the color accuracy of this panel. All right, guys, jumping right in game in Black Ops 6. Right now, we have all the settings maxed out on extreme or full resolution, and we're hitting about 80, 90 frames, which is pretty dang good, honestly. Obviously, we're not gonna hit full frames, but we definitely do not expect that. But yeah, 76 frames is good. The screen here is really, really nice. I think it's just a normal IPS panel, but it seems pretty fast. I mean, obviously, we're only running 76, 80 frames right now, so you know, you can't expect too much. We're gonna decrease the settings now, but really the screen here looks really, really good. Colors look good, these oranges, everything looks very, very accurate as well. The reds seem pretty saturated. I don't know if that's just the game or they are slightly oversaturated. We are gonna test that in this video, but the sky, white balance, everything looks really good. We're gonna decrease the settings a little bit. We're gonna turn these down to, let's turn it down to balance. That's a good one. All right, turning it down to balance brings the frames up to 120, 110. Yeah, ghosting here looks good. It looks like it's just a normal IPS panel here, but it's of good quality. It's very well tuned, and ghosting does seem to be pretty low. We're in darker areas here. Yeah, it seems really good. And 240 hertz, you know, is great. Yeah, this is great. This is great. Really good experience. The screen is definitely a big pro here. I would say it's definitely better, immediately better, I can tell you, than the Acer Nitro. I don't want to make this video the comparison because I'm going to go back to back to back with those. The other thing we're going to test really quick is the noise. This has been running for a bit. The laptop has been running for a few hours now, downloading things and updating drivers. So we're going to turn off the sound here. The thing that I will say, I call it my WASD test, where after you're playing a game for a bit of time, how hot is the deck of the keyboard? Because as you're playing this, how hot are your fingers gonna get? This gets fairly hot on these sides, and then the entire deck, especially right here and up at the number keys, they get like pretty dang hot, to be honest with you. Right now, they're not like hot, but it's definitely like on the edge of like warm and hot. I would say compared to like the Acer Nitro, again, I'm not gonna make this the comparison video, we're gonna do a dedicated video, but it gets a little bit warm, more than I would like, yeah. However, we're gonna test the decibels really quick. So where my head is, we're gonna test them. About 47, 48 decibels there. That's good, but not great. It's quiet. It doesn't sound like it's absolutely like taking off like a jet, but that's not super duper quiet during game. But really, I absolutely love this. I love the trackpad. Screen's really nice, but the thing that I don't like is the heat coming from the whole deck. Now, I've actually owned a few Dell laptops in the past, and they've all typically had that problem where the deck, the keyboard deck, does get warm during gameplay. All right, guys, hopping in a new game here. This is on Derelict now, which has some color to it, and this is where we really see vibrancy here is really good. The reds over there look good. They might be a little oversaturated, but I swear I can never really tell with COD because it's just so It seems like it's always oversaturated, which is fun. It's cool. It's definitely much prettier than Warzone. But yeah, this map looks much better here. It kind of shows the whole range, the color range and everything. We're doing about 105 on this map. It is a little bit more of a complex map, I'm assuming. The fans seem to just stay at the same level. Like they haven't seemed to like change really from that level. We are getting frame drops every now and then, which is interesting. Let's drop the settings a little bit lower. We're gonna go from balanced to basic here. Still getting only 101 frames, which seems odd, honestly. We just updated all the drivers, so that's on it. And we see we have some lagging there. I'm not sure why, but you see we are getting some like glitching, some lagging, and that is performance. That's not internet here. I'm not sure if that's just frame drops or what's going on. Still though, it looks really good. The screen is definitely a highlight here. Definitely a highlight of this panel, which makes sense because it's Dell Alienware. So they do a good job, yeah. Yeah, I'm still not sure what's going on. We're still getting some of that lagging every now and then. It's very strange. I think we're gonna quit. We're gonna restart it and see if that persists. Maybe it's just like a server thing. Not sure, but let's run it back. All right, guys, so the CPU was like hitting pretty high, like 90 plus Celsius, and the fans were not all the way on. And again, this is like its auto mode in performance mode. I'm not sure why. However, restarted it, let it cool down a little bit, and then just custom set fans to 100%. So we have the fans going at 100% to test the sound at 100%. And again, this is just set in a custom mode. This is about where my head is. So basically right on 50 decibels, which is pretty common. It's definitely loud, but it's definitely not the loudest I've heard at like full fan. So hopefully we'll see the temperatures get a little bit better here, but let's jump in game, yeah. All right, back in. Now we're hitting like 143 frames. I think we have this on balanced at this point, but those frames are a lot better. 145, yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it was before. And so far, it doesn't seem like we're getting into that weird like glitching or lagging, which is really good, yeah. So I'm gonna just say it was probably the CPU. I'm not sure what the heck was going on. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So far after doing that, everything looks totally fine. It's very enjoyable. The screen here is great. I will say, like the screen, the laptop, the body, everything, like I'm really digging it. Yeah, I really like the screen here. I think that's a big pro. So far, yeah, again, still, we've gone through the game. We're hitting 138, 140 frames. Toggle those fans up. I don't know what the heck was going on with that, but those fans need to be higher. Now let's just quick check the temperatures here. Yeah, see now we're sitting at 89, still high, but we don't know if that's just taking a single, like the single hottest core or whatever. Still 90, 89, but it's not going over that. Before it was going well over 90. GPU's fine, but the CPU is still running fairly hot, but we haven't had any weird like glitches again. So it is fairly common for laptops to run obviously hotter. But again, I have a feeling that's probably not all of the cores there, but I've been playing for a decent amount of time now and none of the stuttering, none of the lagging. So I think we're doing a lot better now. Let's check temps again. Yeah, see, we're just sitting right there, 89, higher than I would want, but again, you have no idea if it's actually like what that's taking, if it's taking an average, whatever. But I will say with full fans now, the actual deck feels so much cooler. Like my hands actually feel way cooler. So I just think it's probably going to run hotter and you might just have to keep your fans on higher than you might average or normally do. You might not want to keep it in auto if you're going to be gaming for a long time. Also, depending on the heat of the room, like today was kind of a hotter day than normal, so that absolutely plays into it. I think it's good. I think the thermals are probably the weak spot of this laptop, but the things like the screen, the body, the keyboard, the trackpad, it's solid. Let's check the temps one more time. 89, so it's literally just sitting there, but that's at 100% fan speed. 89, 90, it keeps going between that. That's at 100% fan. So basically, if you're gonna be playing like major titles that are graphically intensive, 100% that's intense. I mean, you gotta be okay with a lot of fan noise. It's not crazy loud for being at 100%, and it's not it doesn't have like a high-pitched whine, which is good. But now, let's test the ghosting. I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty good. Let's test it. All right, guys, and here with the ghosting test up, pretty much exactly what I expected. It is very good here. Maybe a tiny bit of overshoot actually, but really small amount of overshoot. Basically, well, there is like zero ghosting. It's just inverse ghosting. And it's really, really good. Like I said, especially 240 hertz with that. I'm gonna take the camera so I can show you guys, but that is what it looks like. Really good, guys. And here's a little bit of a closer one. The ghosting here is phenomenal. It's really good. The screen also is A1. I really like it. It's nice and vibrant, doesn't have a super thick matte finish, has really good colors, it's accurate, and it's got a good white balance out of the box. The screen is definitely a highlight of this monitor, especially in this price. The build quality also is really good. This feels really nice. The keyboard is good. The trackpad, the switches for the keypad are really good. The overall body of the whole monitor is also really good. Then you get 240 hertz on the display and it's 1440p. This is a solid product. The only thing are the thermals. Now, the other thing that we do have to talk about is this one is the i7 with the RTX 4060. Now, I would say you could definitely get the 4070 in this. The GPU temps did not go crazy at all, even with the fans not maxed out, but the CPU temp did. Now, if you look all over the place, the most discounted one, at least currently at the time of filming, is actually the one with the i9. I wonder why. Maybe because it's overheating and you have to throttle that down and you have to set higher limits on it. That would be my thing, but I definitely wouldn't want to put an i9 in this, to be honest with you. It's already having really high temps with the i7. The other interesting thing is that it seems like this laptop is tuned to kind of like have the fans not throttle up for a while and let it run hot pretty continuously, and then only when it like needs to throttle up those fans. Even when you're in like a performance mode, like we put it in, it's just weird. It's like, I don't know. I would definitely prefer the fans to come on, cool it like it needs to be cooled, and then throttle off. But as you can hear it right now, like let's actually show this. This is where my head would be. 33 decibels. That's basically like quieter than whispering. You basically can't hear it, and the fans are slightly on. But the CPU temp is reading out at like 72 Celsius right now. So it's like, throttle up those fans a little bit. We're not doing anything. The only thing open is one browser and everything else is closed. So I don't know. I do think that really the only issue with this that I can find, again, I love the screen, I love everything else, is the thermals. I think it's okay if you're doing the i7. I would be worried about the i9. I guess you can always just throttle that power back on the CPU to kind of like thermal throttle it yourself, which is totally fine. So if you are gonna be able to get the i9 at a lower price, but you're getting the RTX 4070, just be ready and understand that's probably what you're gonna have to do. Is it worth it? I think still probably, yeah, just because the value that you're getting with the screen, the body, the trackpad, everything else, that's really, really good. But again, you're probably not going to get the same amount of performance as you will with another laptop with those same specs with better cooling. But again, if you want to check it out, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. Also, I'm going to be doing a back-to-back comparison between the V16 and the G16. That's the Acer Nitro V16 and the Dell G16. That's going to be a really interesting, really good comparison because they both have their own big pros and cons, so they'll kind of mold together. It'll be very interesting. I'm excited to do it. All right, this is Tyson Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.